The lights of the auditorium were brighter than anything Maria had seen in years. They gleamed like 1,000 tiny suns suspended above an enormous stage, an arena far too grand for a quiet woman who had spent the last decade hidden behind hospital curtains, train rides to therapy appointments, and the soft hum of lullabies meant to comfort a child who never woke up long enough to truly hear them. Maria Santos, a 39-year-old Filipina mother living in California, stepped forward slowly. Her fingers trembled around the microphone as she took her position on the America's Heartstage Audition platform, an international talent show streamed across dozens of countries. Even standing at the center, surrounded by cameras and expectant faces, she felt like she was still in the hallway of St. Jude's Pediatric Hospital, waiting for another update, another doctor, another "we will try our best." The crowd quieted. Something about her, may be the way her shoulders carried invisible weight, or how her hands tightened as if holding onto memories, drew immediate attention. Judge #1, a comedian known for sharp remarks, smiled kindly. "Hello there. What's your name, sweetheart?" Maria lifted her chin. "My name is Maria Santos. Where are you from?" The second judge asked, leaning forward with genuine interest. "I was born in the Philippines," Maria answered. "But I live in Carson, California now. And what brings you here today?" Judge #3 asked, the one who rarely showed much emotion, the one the world loved but feared because of his honesty. Maria swallowed. Her voice softened. "I'm here to share a story, my son's story." A hush fell instantly over the room. Judge #1 tilted his head. "Is your son here with us tonight?" Maria's lips quivered. She shook her head. "He passed away 3 years ago." The silence deepened. It wasn't the shocked, awkward silence of unexpected tragedy. It was reverent, respectful, as if thousands of hearts all bowed together. Maria continued, her eyes glistening though not a tear had fallen yet. "He was 9 years old. His name was Gabriel. Every night I used to sing to him. Even when he couldn't reply, even when he was too tired. I kept singing because I wanted him to feel safe, to feel loved." She inhaled deeply. "Tonight I want to sing for him one more time." The audience shifted, breath caught in their throats. Judge #3, usually stone-faced, cleared his throat softly and nodded. "Whenever you're ready." The music began, soft, slow, almost like a heartbeat. Maria closed her eyes, and when she began to sing, the world seemed to stop. Her voice wasn't powerful. It wasn't theatrical. It wasn't polished for show business. But it was drenched in truth. Raw, trembling, honest truth. Every note sounded like it had been carried from a hospital bedside straight into this stage, and within the first few lines, people were already wiping tears. Maria's story had begun. Pain shapes people, but love gives that pain a purpose. Before she even reached the second verse, the audience subconsciously felt the weight behind every syllable. But what they didn't yet know was the long road Maria had walked to reach this moment. Her life before the storm, Maria had once been a girl full of dreams. She had grown up in Cebu, running barefoot along sandy roads, singing in every school program she could squeeze herself into. Her voice wasn't formally trained, but it carried warmth that reminded people of home. At 23, she left the Philippines for California, hoping to build a better life. She worked 3 jobs, waitressing, hotel housekeeping, weekend child care, saving every dollar, sending what she could back home. It was during a church community event when she met Anthony, the man who would become her husband. He was gentle, soft, spoken, and had a smile that made her feel like she had finally found a safe place to rest. They married a year later, and shortly after, Maria became pregnant. The miracle named Gabriel. From the moment she held her son for the first time, Maria believed she had been chosen for something sacred. Gabriel had big, curious eyes, hair as soft as silk, and tiny hands that always seemed to reach toward her voice. He loved music, would giggle whenever Maria hummed lullabies, would sway to the tunes of Disney songs. Even as a baby, he sought rhythm and melody like they were his natural language. At age 3, however, everything changed. The diagnosis that broke their world, it began with sickness, frequent infections, unexplained fevers. Then came weakness in his legs, fatigue, bruises that wouldn't go away. One night, Gabriel fainted after trying to stand. They rushed him to the hospital. Hours later, a doctor entered with eyes heavy with news no parent ever wants to hear. "Your son has acute lymphoblastic leukemia." For a moment, Maria couldn't breathe. Her world blurred. The only thing she could hear was the pounding of her own heart. Her little boy, her bright, beautiful angel, was sick. The years of fighting hospitals became home. Needles became normal. Machines became lullabies. Maria learned to smile even when she was breaking. She learned to sing even when the world felt like it was collapsing around her. Every night, she'd sit beside Gabriel's bed, hold his hand and sing. "I'm here, Anak. Mama's here. You are not alone." He would try to smile, whispering, "Mama," again. And she would sing again, even when her voice cracked, even when tears drowned her vision. And then, the final goodbye. 3 years of treatments. 3 years of hope, fear, exhaustion, and prayer. Then came the night Gabriel whispered, "Mama, I'm tired." Maria felt something inside her shatter. "It's okay, baby. Rest. Mama's right here." She sang his favorite lullaby. His breathing slowed, until it stopped. Her world stopped with it. Why she came to the stage for 3 years after Gabriel's passing, Maria stopped singing. The sound of her own voice hurt too much, but every night she felt him in the quiet, felt that he wanted her to keep going, to share the love she once poured only on him. One afternoon, while volunteering at a local children's shelter, she overheard a boy crying. Maria instinctively sang the same lullaby she had sung to Gabriel. The boy stopped crying. The staff members stared. "You have a beautiful voice," one said. "You should share it with more people." That was the first spark. Later, a friend sent her the link to audition for America's Heart Stage. She had deleted the message 3 times before deciding to try. For Gabriel, she whispered to herself. And that was how she ended up here, under the blinding lights, singing the song that carried her through the darkest years of her life. The audience didn't know all this in detail yet, but they felt it. They felt her grief, her courage, her love, and they leaned in, wanting more. As Maria continued her performance, her voice quivered, not from fear, but from memories. Flashbacks struck her mind mid-song. Gabriel laughing with tubes taped to his arms. Gabriel drawing shaky stars on hospital paper. Gabriel whispering, "Mama, sing." Her throat tightened. She missed one note, just one. A small crack in her voice, but instead of recoiling, something shocking happened. The audience began to hum with her. It started with just a few people, then dozens, then hundreds. They didn't know the song. They weren't harmonizing on purpose. They were simply echoing the vibration of her pain, turning it into something gentle. Maria opened her eyes, startled. Judge #1 was wiping tears. Judge #2 held her heart. Judge #3, known for his unbreakable composure, blinked rapidly, struggling, but the most unexpected moment came when a little girl from the audience, no more than 7, stood up. She held a small candlelight toy and whispered loudly enough for the microphones to catch it, "For your son." It was spontaneous, innocent, and impossibly pure. Soon more children stood, then adults. More candles lit up the room until the entire auditorium looked like a galaxy of tiny stars. Stars that reflected in Maria's tear-filled eyes. This wasn't just an audition anymore. It was a tribute, a memorial, a collective embrace. Maria steadied her voice and continued. Something had shifted inside her, a realization blossoming gently in her chest. She wasn't singing alone. She wasn't grieving alone, and maybe, just maybe, this stage was where her healing could finally begin. The music swelled. She lifted her gaze upward, not to the lights, not to the judges, but to something higher, something she felt but couldn't see. "Thank you," she whispered mid-song, and then she delivered a final note so pure, so heartbreakingly sincere, that even the judges seemed to forget their roles. They were simply humans witnessing another human lay her soul bare. The final chorus arrived, and Maria knew this was the moment she had been terrified of yet desperately needed. Her voice trembled as she sang the last verse. the verse she had written herself after Gabriel's passing. If love could build a ladder, I'd climb to heaven's door, hold your hand forever and keep you safe once more. A single tear escaped her eye, not from pain, but from release. Then, something remarkable happened. The giant screen behind her flickered, and suddenly displayed a soft, glowing image of a child's hand, drawn star, the same star Gabriel used to sketch in his hospital notebook. Maria gasped. The audience murmured. Judge #2 immediately covered her mouth, whispering, "Oh my God." The producers had planned nothing like this. After the show, they would explain that the screen malfunctioned and randomly pulled up a fancy, mitted collage of drawings from child patients. But in this moment, no one knew that. To Maria, it felt like Gabriel was telling her, "I'm here, Mama." She fell to her knees, not collapsing, not breaking, just overwhelmed by a love so powerful that it pulled her downward in reverence. The music softened into a whisper. The entire audience rose to their feet. A standing ovation thundered through the hall. Some were clapping, others had their hands over their hearts. Many were crying openly. Judge #3, usually reserved, always critical, leaned forward, unable to hide the emotion on his face. Maria. His voice cracked slightly. I don't know what to say. That was one of the most beautiful performances I have ever witnessed. You didn't just sing, you shared your heart with all of us." Judge #2 sniffed audibly. "Your love for your son. It touched every single person here. Thank you, truly." Judge #1, voice shaky, added, "Your performance reminds us all that even in the darkest moments, love can still be our light." Then Judge #3 stood up. The stadium gasped. He rarely stood for anyone. Maria. He reached toward the golden buzzer. "You came here to honor your son. Tonight we honor you both." His hand slammed the button. A burst of golden confetti rained down, shimmering like 1,000 falling stars. Maria covered her face, overwhelmed as the audience erupted into cheers. She felt the confetti land on her palms, on her hair, on her cheeks, and for a split second, she imagined each piece was a message from her son. One whisper from above, "I'm proud of you, Mama." Backstage, after the show, Maria sat quietly as producers tried to talk to her. But she wasn't really listening, not because she was overwhelmed by the golden buzzer, but because she felt something inside her shift, warmth, peace, a long, delayed exhale of grief. Someone approached. It was the little girl who had stood earlier with a candlelight toy. She held it out to Maria. "This is for you." The child said shyly, "Your song. It made me feel brave. My brother died last year. I miss him, but when you sang, I felt like he could hear me." Maria's throat tightened. She knelt and hugged the girl, whispering, "You are strong, and your brother is very proud of you." For the first time in years, Maria felt she was no longer just a mother who had lost a child. She was a mother who could help others heal from their losses too. Over the next weeks, her audition went viral. People from around the world sent messages. Parents who had lost children, children who had lost parents, individuals who simply needed hope. Maria read every message with a gentle smile. She realized something profound. Her pain had once suffocated her, but now, it was becoming someone else's lifeline. On the day of the semifinals, Maria stood backstage again, feeling no fear, only gratitude. Whatever happened next didn't matter. She had honored Gabriel, she had touched lives, she had found her voice again, and she whispered softly, "This is for you, baby." She walked on stage, not as a broken mother, but as a beacon of love, resilience, and hope. And the world smiled with her. Closing message: thank you for listening to this story. If Maria's journey has touched your heart, remember this. Everyone you meet is carrying something you cannot see. A small act of kindness can change someone's entire day. A single smile can spread more warmth than you think. So today, just like Maria, choose compassion, choose gentleness, choose to spread the smile.